today about one of the primary traps in this whole process. And what this trap is the filtering of everything that is perceptive through the false eye, the imitation eye, the point of reference, the mind-body computer program that is ultimately discovered to be something that you have never had any involvement with ever, to the shock initially of the mind. So busy trying to heal myself, and this is very, very necessary because for most, the movement into the spiritual quest is to get away from the discomforts that arise from the point of reference that holds this inherent belief that there's something wrong with me and I need to hide the truth of who I am and cannot be completely free because there's something wrong. So there's always an actor there on some level. And there's an attempt for that actor to be more uncontained, freer. There's an attempt to get away from the discomfort of what is called your humanity. And this does offer something, but it falls short of offering everything. You see, the mind-body organism is constructed out of this programming to be drawn to pleasure, to crave pleasure, to desire pleasure, and to fear pain. These are the primary factors. So most on the spiritual journey are driven by the desire to get away from the pain, because separation, any way you look at it, ultimately boils down to a sense of self-consciousness, a sense of separation, a sense of isolation, a sense of insufficiency, some either obvious or very, very subtle ingredients that keep the attention lodged there. And there is this belief that if you are in I am consciousness, you are not playing in that arena, so you will feel much better. And this is all well and good, and it is actually true. But when this occurs, there is some of your essential humanity that remains because there is an attempt to get away from yourself in a belief that you are this human program. But you have come here to free the false notion that you are this program. You see, the truth is that your beingness, your conscious awareness, your existence has never at any point in time ever intersected with either the pleasure or the pain that happens from this reference point. When the reference point is experiencing pleasure, there is a conditioned sense of safety, and very often it will open into the bigger space with the form included because it is not going through distress. And the idea is, this is it, I've got it. And it can open and close like this forever. There becomes a distinction between your wakefulness and your humanity. And the humanity is this programmed belief from generations back and from collective energy that the dissatisfaction is yours, because this is how it feels when there is identification with this reference point. And when there is pleasure, there is wanting, desiring for the point of reference that is believed to be me to feel the pleasure and then to feel the opening because it is not in contraction, and desire this. And this is called the awakened perspective. But the thing about your nature, which is ultimately discovered to be true, is that it has never been involved with the phenomenal expression from the point of reference that is called you. It has never been involved with that at all. You can say on the one hand it is involved with that because you can say that a dream at night, that I am involved with the dream. But you are not choosing the dream. The dream arises out of your consciousness, so you can see what otherwise would not be seen. If you are desiring pleasant dreams about how wonderful you are, and trying not to have dreams that are disturbing, it would not work. The error is in this constant constriction of conscious awareness into this point of reference that is called me. But as you discover in a dream, everything is me. There is no chooser in a dream. It's just playing out the role. In order to break this trance, and the words are so loaded because there is no one to break a trance. The consciousness that you are is pure peace and oneness. It has never been stained. The truth of your nature is that it already has always been free. And the appearance, the dream appearance of me is striving to get rid of this separate character's suffering and feel the pleasure part of it, to feel good about myself, in which case it opens, and this is often labeled your divinity. But your divinity exists. It's the one thing that is beyond a refute, that your divinity exists. You exist. The feeling of this existence is divinity. It is unity. It is eternity. It is infinity. And then the conditioned habit is always to move into this contracted reference. And when sometimes it is enjoyed and sometimes it is not enjoyed, it will constantly be going to and fro. But when there is the recognition that this personal involvement with something that has no inherent life, it has no consciousness, it has no beingness, it is a dream, a reflective dream, and nothing more. When this is recognized, there is the seeing that both the pleasure end of it and the pain end of it are equal forms of stimulus that keep the habit going. So most want to awaken because there is an idea that it is going to be so much pleasure. Live in the love and the unity. Be free of experiencing myself as separate as someone. But that reference point has two poles of experience. And when you are feeling yourself, your beingness, and the character is going through challenge, it is not wiped clean of the experience. It is included. It is part of it. It's just that it has nothing to do with a you, with a doer. It is a dream, and you receive all of it from where it is coming. It is a dream. Fear may arise in the character, but you realize there is no one you can find that chose the fear. So what is recommended and has been talked about over again is you look for the character that you believe yourself to be. Right now. It's the only thing that's real. Outside of the dream of time, the only thing that is real is now. So in reality, look for a separate character who chooses the thoughts and emotions and sensations. And what is found? What is found over and over and over again cannot find anyone. But in the sophistication of the mind's ability to deny, it will take this in for a moment, and then either immediately or an hour later, 10 minutes later, a week later, it will start running its antics as if this taste had never happened. For most, it is momentary. You feel now because it has been spoken the no oneness, but the mind is also running with its attempt to distract with the assumption that there really is someone. It is not about doing something about this. There is no doing. The impulses of that character are in a dream. It has nothing to do with someone. Every single character is like the characters in your dream. They are all reflecting aspects of the psyche. There's no chooser. It is divided within this false sense of I between the hunger for pleasure, to feel good, and the fear of pain. But whether it is pleasure or pain, they are equally distractive. And when it is the pleasure end, There is a complacency because the programmed story will say this is it often. Because when it is open, consciousness is not contracted so intensely. What is discovered is that it is the contraction of consciousness that brings up the whole mirage. The contraction is rooted in programmed fear and protection. It is not your problem. You have never had a problem. Is this a problem for the self? Is this a problem for the eternal now? Has the eternal now ever changed? Has it ever been affected by pleasure or pain? Has it ever been affected by good or bad, right or wrong? Your beingness remains unchanging. The mind-body is breathing. Beingness is not breathing. The mind-body is located in time. Beingness is not located in time. The mind-body is attempting to have the taste of this because it believes that is going to bring the individual pleasure, even though it goes unseen, because in this case, the contraction is not so hard, not so severe. So there is a feeling, usually, of something much bigger at the same time. And the idea is this is it, and that is forgetting. But there is no it and there is no forgetting. The whole thing is a dream. The whole thing is a dream. And where are you? Where are you? You return to the fundamental question. Where are you? And the feeling is always the same. And it is taken in for a moment, and then the mind immediately goes into its denial mode. Like the mind is a denial machine for the taste of the moment, of yourself, of reality. It distracts attention and denies who you are. You are not a character striving to awaken. This is all happening within the dream construct. And the more this character tries, the more entrenched the attention becomes with the dream. I mean, if it is strong enough, it can offer something. But it's offering something in a dream, out of a perspective. And maybe the dream will morph some. Maybe you'll end up with an idea that you are someone who has awakened. And you'll feel good about yourself very subtly, because it's in the pleasure arena and the contraction is only so much. But in the recognition that contraction itself is what creates the illusion, that the contraction of consciousness is a fear-driven protective response that takes energy, is that you cannot find the one choosing it. So there is no error, there is no right or wrong. It becomes impossible to lay judgment on anything because there's no one that can be found to judge. It is all arising out of the dream which has created the misunderstanding. On the one hand, the nature of consciousness is inclusive, it's oneness. It includes everything. It includes the character, it includes the mind, it includes the suffering, it includes the pleasure. It's all in there, in the dream, in God's dream. It's not a problem. It's not someone can overcome. It's not something that is yours. But what can be said definitively is that you exist. Your existence has never forgotten its nature. There is no forgetting in existence, there is no thought. There is no movement, there is no individual. Forgetting occurs in the programming, the mechanical programming of this mind-body matrix built upon the fear of pain and the desire for pleasure. When I say the desire for pleasure, I am not speaking of desire for joy. Joy is the natural state of being. Pleasure is a sensation that is in location at a point in time that the individual one is experiencing in the phenomenal play. Just like love. Love is not for someone. This is in the play. It's beautiful, it's an opening, but it's in a play. What love is in love with is itself. And itself is everywhere. And everything is conscious. And the feeling of consciousness is the feeling of love. It's the feeling of unity. It's the feeling of what has never ever been distracted, even for a second. And there is this deep, deep, deep rooted belief that I'm not there yet. That one will never be there yet. If that one believes that he or she is there is something that has not been seen. There is no such thing as an awakened mind-body organism. Consciousness is one thing. Wide open to itself, connected with itself. Formless, yet form appears in the dream. Stillness, yet motion appears in the dream. The depths of peace, yet tension can arise in the dream. So, there is a receiving of what the dream is offering, the teaching it is offering. It ceases to be about my awakening for my pleasure. Most who are really driven to awaken, not all, but most, it's a cover-up for subtle forms of the individual that wants to succeed. But there is no one to succeed. There's no one to succeed. For there's no one. There is your true self, which is freedom itself. The Master already lives alive right now within you. You want to do the deepest form of receiving teaching, you quiet the mind, relax the distractions, and ask yourself, your mindless, locationless self, the being of yourself, please can you help me here? Can you offer the guidance? The attention feels stuck in a character that I know is not me, but it feels this way and it's causing a spinning. What do I do? And you wait quietly, humbly, openly. You wait for the response of the master, totality, Brahman, which is yourself. The Atman, which is God within, meets Brahman, which is totality, recognized to both be one. One, the manifest expression of the one, the other, the unmanifest possibility, but it's all the same. It's all consciousness. It's never known time. Why? Because time does not really exist outside of a dream. It's never known a problem because a problem has never existed outside of a dream. I am not saying that the mind-body does not experience problems, stresses, and efforts. What I am saying is the story that follows, that I am failing somehow. That is why the reflection is coming up, to know what you know instead of accept what is perceived. Everything perceived is in a dream. And the holding on to this knowingness must be the only thing, or it cannot root itself. If it is for the purpose of experiencing pleasure, it is not the only thing. It is for a subtle form of a character that goes unseen. When it is the only thing, certainly it is much more pleasant when the mind-body is experiencing pleasure than pain. But ultimately both are recognized to be setting this false habit of attention falling on the ever-changing play of phenomena, to relax and let go and rest in what is awake, which is yourself right now. It is yourself right now, just to feel it, to feel yourself right now. What else is needed? There is nothing else needed because there is nothing else. Right now, all that is happening is in the context of this dream. Deva is talking in the context of a dream. I am listening in the context of a dream. Everything that is changing is happening within the dream context. And there is also something that does not change. You look for yourself, and it is undeniable. You are what does not change. It's not vague, it's obvious. You do it over and over and over and over again, and the denial mechanism of the mind returns. Why? Because this mechanism is still typically struggling for a greater sense of feeling good about me, unrecognized. There is no me to feel better than or to feel worse than, to improve or to get distracted. You are what you feel. What you feel is unbounded, resting in what you feel and using the dream whenever possible, at all costs, in all situations, to remind yourself, it's not me, it's a program. Feels like me, looks like me, mind says it's me, but there's something aware of all of that. And what is aware of all of that is never ever changed, is unaffected by it. It is the space on which it is occurring. The body gets up and it moves into the kitchen, but the space is unmoving. You feel the space that is unmoving. The more you feel the space, the more you feel the infinite nature and the eternal nature of this space that is what you are. The less important the details of the dream becomes. This happens by itself because there is no you to awaken or forget. It is just this. It is just this. Am I more awake than you? I am a character that is being dreamt up in the programming of your mind. When there is the seeing of where phenomena is coming from, what phenomena is affecting, and there is a true inquiry into who am I really? Who am I really? What is discovered is you are already where this imposter, this mind-body habitual imposter, what that is searching for, you already are. And then the body dies and you remember. And then it incarnates and there is a forgetting. The opportunity is not to forget now. It's not a doing. It's not in the future. It's not in the past. It's not in imagination. It's in the feeling of yourself, the being of yourself, the unity of totality, of conscious awareness that is felt, and it is so beautiful. And there's hesitation about speaking about its beauty because it tends to set up this polarization for the mind to say, I want that. But it's not mind-body pleasure. It all lies in this conviction to remember. Because what that feeds is not an individual. It's not something that can be named. It's not someone. It's not somewhere. It's not attainable. It's what already is. Then there is no rat race. For it is under the guidance of a wisdom. Your role is simply to notice, to be keenly aware. For the light of awareness dispels what is unconscious, and what is unconscious is this dream that I am a separate doer who is struggling to awaken, that becomes something that is due to an act or a lack of actions by a character that isn't there. What begins to occur is that the distance between pleasure and pain, the intensity of these polar opposites to the character, gradually starts to melt, just as the character gradually starts to melt. And instead of it taking great effort of self-reminding, what is discovered is the effort comes in the contraction of awareness. You are not the thinker of your thoughts. It is so obvious. You look for the thinker and you stay in that feeling and you feel energy. It is from the field of energy that the content of these thoughts arise. Just to be aware, vibrantly aware, and to return over and over again to the nature of reality, until eventually the denial mechanism of the mind cannot work and you are beside yourself. Even though you've seen it 1,000 times, there is finally this absolute recognition, oh my God, I have never been this person. There are no other people. It is all a dream. I am conscious. And all that needs to happen to prove this to yourself is over and over again look to see, where are you? Who are you? And then to feel into, what is this? And to realize, no matter what the mind dreams up next, this feeling is, in fact, the self-evident truth of yourself. There are no levels in consciousness, it is one. The one is united. In that united state, there is infinite peace. There is infinite light. There is infinite joy. It is right here, right now. It is not bodily pleasure. It is not in opposition to the confused mind where the body is in contraction. It is all equal. It is all equal. It is all choiceless. There is nothing an individual can do. However, the more there is the taste, the more humbled this conditioned mind becomes, the more willing to receive the teaching in the absence of buying the illusion that someone is messing up somehow. Just find the one who's messing up. It's so obvious. and then witness the denial mechanisms of the mind, which will set the intention right back to the same place. So you watch the dynamic over and over again until it becomes so clear that you could not have this taste of unity ever again, and it wouldn't matter, because the recognition is so undeniable. And this is when it all begins to explode open to itself. What do you really want? The common response in a group like this is, I want awakening. What else is the point? But there is no point. There is only a mirage. There is now. Now is reality. You are already that. You are not a doer. You are that. It still is an enormous challenge because the mind so intensely wants to distract, to be busy, to put up the appearance of roadblocks. In what? In a character it has created in a dream of perception that has nothing to do with any choice. And then it becomes impossible to judge anything. And when you can no longer judge yourself, you discover you can no longer judge anyone or anything. And then the feeling of the heart of beingness becomes so much more palpable, because the distractive habit of judgment, of striving, of fear is loosening and being replaced by humility and openness, which is what you are. Just to feel yourself. It's all this is about. Thank you, thank you, thank you.